All right. Hey, everyone. Happy Father's Day to all you guys. And even if you're not a father, if you have played an important role in a child, I think you deserve a day for it. So today's Father's Day. What do we have going on today? Gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now. Sorry. I was thinking of something else in my head. But here's what we got. We're going to take a look at the miners, how they performed last week compared to Bitcoin itself. They had a really great week compared to Bitcoin. Bitcoin was down. A lot of the miners were actually up. We'll take a look at what's going on there, what the possible future might hold for us because of that. Then we'll also take a look at some of the smaller miners. So we have Argo, DMG, Digihost. Who else is in there? Mawson, Stronghold, and Sphere 3D as well. We'll take a look at their May production updates for those that have reported those. And we'll look at some metrics for them as well really quick. And then we'll get into the Q&A side of things. So it should be pretty easy. But as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm invested in following coins and companies for full disclosure. And I'm not paid by any of the public Bitcoin mining companies. So if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's get into some Bitcoin metrics right now, or charts at least. This is the total network hash rate right now. This is the 7-day average. We can see that the network hash rate is at 586. So it's down a little bit here from where it was just on, and this isn't actually updating. This is from June 11th. Why isn't this not updating for me? Let's refresh the page again. I've refreshed it before, and we're still only getting June 12th, June 11th. That seems weird. I mean, that's basically 5 days out. Not sure what's going on there with this thing. So we'll take a look at that. I just noticed that right now. Looking at the Bitcoin fees per day, those have been coming down as well. We are now at 36.98 BTC per day. It's still better than where we were here in kind of like the end of May where we were at 22. So we're still looking a little bit higher from that. So that's looking a little, it's not great, but it's okay. And then the hash price index here with Bitcoin coming down in value and the transaction fees coming down as well, we're seeing that this has been coming down also. So we are down to now approximately $53 per petahash right now. If we look at the 1 month average, we saw a huge spike here on June 8th, June 7th, June 6th. Right around there, we had a huge spike. I think that was based on the ordinals and the runes popping a little bit there, but it's been coming down here recently, and we've been kind of averaging right around, I would say probably around 53 or so. So we're kind of back to that average where we were in the past. Okay. Now, on Friday, we didn't do a show because Friday everybody's out celebrating the end of the week. So I didn't do a show then. I also spent the time with my family and kids and stuff like that. So we're just going to take a quick look at it here. Bitcoin at that point was down quite a bit. It was a pretty bad day for Bitcoin. It was down to a low of 65,005 roughly. It bounced off of that, closed above the 50-day simple moving average, and it's kind of stayed above that right now. It's battling with the 100-day simple moving average, and as you can see here now, we reached it here. You guys might be able to see this here. Let's zoom in. But you can see this is the 100 simple day moving average. And we got to it, bounced above it a little bit, and then we're coming back down. I'm wondering once we have that cross potentially on the 50-day and the 100-day, if at that point Bitcoin starts going up higher. Let me know what you guys think of that, but that's just an idea that's kind of floating around my head right now on it. As far as the miners were concerned, miners were down for the most part. There were only a couple miners, about 4 that were up. BitDeer was up 1.02%. Bitfarms was up another 2.14%. CORZ was down up 4.87%, and Mawson was up 1.2%. Everybody else was down a couple percentage points. Nothing major here. Nobody was down double digits, it looks like. So that was actually pretty good. Okay. So next, let's get into how did the miners perform against Bitcoin here this past week, and we'll maybe talk about as far as what that means for us going forward. And this is not where I wanted to go. This is my thing here. Let's go into the large miners. So on this chart, we look at where has Bitcoin miners come up in the last 52 weeks from their bottoms, and then how far away they are from their 52-week highs. And we had a huge change here that happened this past week with Bitcoin being at 164%, but we had a lot more miners now outperforming Bitcoin, mainly because of last week of what happened there. So now we got Cleanspark being up 424% from its 52-week bottom here. IREN being up 373%. TeraWolf 340%. Core 295. BitDeer 259. Bitfarms 212%. And Marathon 171%. So all of these guys have outperformed so far Bitcoin within the last 52 weeks from their bottoms. Okay, Bitcoin's only up 164%. These are the ones that have underperformed. You got Cypher up 129. Hut 8 only 82%. BitDigital 51%. Riot 35%. And Hive 34% as well. down here. And then you can see how far the miners are away from their 52-week highs. So Core is the closest one. It's only 3.5% away from this 52-week highs, followed by possibly TeraWolf, then IREN, or actually Bitcoin, and then IREN, and then you would have Cypher, and then possibly Bitfarms, only 26%, and Cleanspark is 28% away. Okay, so that's the way those have shaped up. And you can see here on how the performance here for the past week was. You got Bitcoin being down 5%, right? And all of the miners were doing either better or a lot better than Bitcoin was. So that was kind of interesting to see. Normally we would see miners follow Bitcoin, and then you'd have maybe one or two that were just kind of outliers a little bit here. But now we have pretty much everybody here that we cover outperforming Bitcoin this past week. So you can see here Bitdeer did the best, 36% up, Core 33%, TeraWolf 27%, IREN 26%, Cypher 23%, Bitfarms 20%, Hut 8%, up 17%, Cleanspark up 14%, Riot up 8%, Hive up 5%, BitDigital being up only 2%, and Marathon only being up 1%. So everybody here for the past week has outperformed Bitcoin. So what does that mean for us going forward? Are the miners potentially front-running Bitcoin price action going forward, which could be the case, right? We've seen this before. We've seen the miners actually outperform Bitcoin at certain points before even Bitcoin starts running up higher. And that's just mainly because of institutions, investors are looking ahead, knowing that eventually the miners will outperform. Plus, we're roughly, what are we now? We're at 16th, 19th. So let me see, April, May. We're like 2 months out past the halving event. And this is usually when Bitcoin and the miners start pumping after the halving, if we look at the historical data that we have on the previous cycle as well. So this may coincide with that a little bit, I think. And it's just investors are front running right now. They believe that the miners will be valued much higher going forward. So will Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a pretty rough week here. It was down 5%. But the miners sometimes, not always, but sometimes they do front run Bitcoin, and then we see a huge spike in Bitcoin price going forward. So we'll see if we get that possibly this week as well for Bitcoin, if that actually plays out, or at least within, I would say, maybe this week or into even next week possibly. So it might be a little bit lagging behind, but we'll see. Okay. Then we can see here on this table here, we can see that we've had 2 pretty good green weeks here so far. We've had 1 red week in there, then 2 green weeks as well. And we've seen this before as well, right? So this is nice to see this kind of a pattern. We saw this back in like December timeframe where we had a lot more green weeks than we did red weeks. We saw this a little bit in, what was this, February as well, a little bit. But then we saw it, we don't have it here, but in the summer months as well of last year, we saw that happen before. So that's kind of what we're looking at with Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners. I expect, or at least my thought process, my thesis on this is that miners are front running Bitcoin. Bitcoin will eventually start popping, and these guys will continue to pop even more based on that. Okay. So that is it for the miners here. We'll get into your guys' questions here in a little bit, but let's take a look at the small miners here as well. We'll plug this in and we'll look over here. So we got Argo, DMG, Digihost, and we also have Stronghold reporting. We don't have any information from Mawson yet on May production updates, nor do we have it from, who's the other one? I believe it is Sphere 3. So those two have not provided. So we got 4 of the 6 that did report, and we'll go through this relatively quickly here. So let's start out with Argo here. Argo provides their May update, and during the month of May, the company mined 45 Bitcoin or Bitcoin equivalents, and that's all we got here, right? We got some stuff about allotment of new shares, share capital, and total voting rights. You guys can read that. I'm not going to get into it here. But let's take a look at Argo really quick here. Argo, as you can see here, their performance over the last 12 weeks has not been great. You know, you saw a lot of the other miners, large-scale miners that I cover, were in the green for last week quite nicely, whereas Argo continuing to go down week in, week out pretty much. So that's their performance here. You can see their BTC production here. They are fully installed. They don't really have a hodl position anymore. Production was down 45, which we would expect, especially after the halving event. Revenue came way down here to 2.93, about more than half than they had in April. BTC hodl, you can see how that's come down here. December was the last month that they had a hodl. Other than that, it's been at 0 here. Monthly hash rate, it looks like, I'm guessing, I'm not sure if they did, but I'm guessing they didn't report their hash rate. But they had some older machines there. We'll look at those here shortly, but I think those came down here. So that brought them down to about 2.7 exahash potentially. And then BTC sold, Bitcoin per exahash efficiency, way down to 16.45, Bitcoin sold value there. And then looking at institutions here, institutions stayed the same. based on what I have data on them. The only thing that's changed is the price targets for them, the analyst price targets. The high went down to $1.50, the average went down to $1.17, and the low went down to $1 for them. Okay, now going down here for what they mined in May, I took out these 65 terahash miners. I believe there's no way those are still operating right now. It'd probably be not profitable for them. So I took those out, and now all we have is the 95 terahash miners. Those are probably going to be coming offline here if they aren't already offline. But then we got some 100 terahash, 105 terahash miners here. So they were operating for about 20.9 days. Based on that, that got us to the 2.9 million in revenue, which coincides with what they reported as well. And I believe their Helios facility, which is located in Texas, is now owned by Galaxy Digital. I'm guessing there was some curtailment happening there because of the heat potentially. So that's why they are down 20.9 days for the month. Oops, not that one. Going back up over here, let's take a look at it. They're currently valued at $1.29. I have in between $2.45 to $3.68, but there's a reason they're down. Not a lot of growth, right? They don't own any infrastructure anymore, I don't believe. So they're all pretty much hosting there. It's just, they're like running on a lifeline right now, basically, or life support, roughly. I don't know how much longer they can last this. The only thing that's going to save them is Bitcoin going up much higher going forward. Maybe at that point, maybe they can do something where they start getting you hardware. I don't know. It's a tough situation to be in for them. I don't know how they're going to survive this, but time will only tell. Okay, so that's Argo on that one. Let's get into DMG really quick as well. DMG update is pretty quick as well. Bitcoin mine 23, BTC balance 449. I think they are the only ones here that have a sizable balance right now of BTC. And then as an operational update, DMG now expects it will have its Bitmain T21 mining fleet expected to generate 0.86 exahash operationally in July, a delay from the prior guidance of the end of the month of June, so that's still not too bad. So they will have a little bit of growth here at least coming up here, so that's kind of good there. Their average hash rate for the month was 0.94, so a little less than 1 exahash here, but still not too bad. They had some grant of stock options. DMG also announced it has granted 1.4 million to employees and directors of the company. The options are exercisable for a period of 5 years at a price of 61 cents per share and will vest as 25% on each of the 6, 12, 18, and 24 months anniversaries of the grant date. Okay, so that's basically it there. Looking at DMG here, let's see here, DMG. Their performance hasn't been great either, but it's been kind of subdued at least. It hasn't been as bad as some of the other ones here. It's only down 10% from 12 weeks ago. It's up 3.7% from 8 weeks ago, but it's down from 4 weeks to 1%. And then last week it was down 5.35%. Current hash rate 1.2. Future hash rate is supposed to be at 2, right? So that gets them to the 8.8 that we're talking about there of growth left in them. So that's kind of good there. You can see their BTC production has been coming down as well. Their HODL is valued about 30 million, and it's about 46% of their market cap right now. Month over month difference of BTC mined. BTC HODL has continued to come down here. And can I expect that to come down even more potentially after the halving event as they're trying to stay afloat and everything else, because it's a pretty big sizable cut in revenue there for them. BTC per exahash efficiency down to 19.15. Hash rate 1.2 here. That's what I have them at. They're operating at an average of 0.98 something revenue. Down to 1.5 million here for the month. Hash rate difference stayed the same. BTC sold value, how much they sold there. You guys can see that. Going down here to institutions. Institutions stayed the same, number 9. Shares went down a little bit here to 1.76 million. Percentage went down to 1.04. We still have the same buy rating for them, single buy rating. And the price target stayed the same here from the prior month as well. So 73 cents across the board for them. Going down here to their operations for May. It looks like they were operating for about 24.45 days out of the month. And that got us to approximately 1.5 million in revenue here for them. So that's kind of where they are at right now. They do have a little bit of growth, which is nice to see. They are currently at 39 cents. I have them between 52 cents and 78 cents. I think they're slightly undervalued here. But they're a smaller miner, not a lot of growth left in them. But they are pretty efficient in what they do. And if we look at their assets here, their assets are looking pretty good here. 25 million here as of Q1 of 2024. And total current liabilities was 4.58 million. So their balance sheet is pretty healthy there. So that's looking good. But I think, majority of that total current assets is based on their Bitcoin HODL. And we'll see how that continues going into the next month. How much they sell to stay basically afloat for the time being, while Bitcoin kind of is range bound a little bit, trading sideways during this accumulation phase for it. Okay, that's DMG. Let's take a look at Digihost here really quick. Oh, Digihost did provide a little news update here recently. They are expanding their Bitcoin mining operations with 11,000 S21s, increasing hash rate to 3.2. But there's a catch to this. It's not for, they have an agreement in place. So Digihost is thrilled to announce it has entered into a transformative profit sharing and agreement with a strategic partner. This collaboration will harness the company's robust infrastructure to accommodate new digital currency mining servers. And under the executed agreement, Digihost will integrate 11,000 state-of-the-art S21 miners, 200 terahash, into its facilities, translating its approximately 44 megawatts of hosting. This deal also includes a profit-sharing component whereby Digihost will receive 60% of the daily Bitcoin mining rewards earned from the S21 miners in exchange for providing the agreed-upon capacity, electrical infrastructure, and support. So mining rewards, is that... That's the question I have here. I'm trying to figure this out. So mining rewards, is that the block reward or is that the transaction fee rewards? Are they getting part of that as well? Not sure. So that's a question that I have there. Alec Elmar, president of Digihost, expressed this agreement marks another milestone for Digihost, structured to enable us to diversify our revenue stream, solidify our financial standing, and enhance our hashing capacity. Our goal is to scale our computing power while staying debt-free, ultimately transitioning our fleet to the latest generation of miners and achieving a targeted hash rate of 5 exahash by the end of 2024. That would actually be pretty good if they can do that. I don't know if this can be partially with like these kind of agreements that they have, where they do a revenue share potentially as well, or if they're looking to increase more of their own self-mining side of things on that. But getting to 5 exahash would be good. That might actually bump them up into my larger tier companies. As of right now, at least, my cutoff was 5 exahash for these guys. Remarkably, we are increasing our hash rate nearly by 50% without increasing our energy consumption. Additionally, we are very excited to be developing our first Tier 3 site for high-performance computing. So this is interesting. They're getting to the HPC AI side of things as well. Tier 3 is actually a pretty good site there. You're looking at 99.999% uptime, roughly, at that point. So they would have the redundancies in there for power, for cooling, and for internet as well. Right, that's kind of what you need in a Tier 3. Further expanding our technological capabilities, the company will be utilizing its existing infrastructure in this endeavor, which we expect will provide cost efficiencies. So they got quite a bit going on here. So maybe these guys are ones maybe to keep an eye on a little bit here, just to see how they do going forward. If they can get to 5 exahash by the end of the year, would be great. And then also, what is their HPC AI side of things? We don't have a lot of details, at least not yet, on how many megawatts they're going to be providing for that, or who are their customers going to be potentially in that as well. So something to keep an eye on. Okay, now Digihost provides their May update, and here's what we have. Between self-mining and hosting agreements, miners at the company's facility produced approximately 50 BTC during the month of May. Their self-mining was lower, obviously, than that. And they did get a NASDAQ notification that they are late on their annual report filing here. What else do we have here? That's basically it. So let's take a look at Digihost really quick. Digihost over here, you can see here that they have also kind of underperformed everybody else here as well. They're down 21% from 12 weeks ago. 8 weeks, they're down 3.6 from 4 weeks ago. They were at 2.3%. Then last week, they were basically flat, it looks like here. Stock price is $1.33. Current hash rate, 1.2. They got that agreement with somebody else to host their machines, and they're getting 60% of the rewards there. I don't know if it's block reward or the actual transaction fees there. But they are getting that. I'm not including that in there yet until I get some more definitive answers on that. They do have, I'm guessing, a slide huddle. They haven't reported anything on it, but this is the last that was reported, 19.28. And then you can see their BTC production has been coming down here. What else you got? Monthly revenue down quite a bit here to 2.1 million here now. Bitcoin huddle right around 19. Hash rate has been pretty steady there. Bitcoin sold. They've been selling pretty much everything that they mine here. BTC per exahash efficiency, also not bad. For them, it's actually pretty good compared to the other miners, smaller ones here at least. It's 26.77, so that's really good. BTC sold value, how much that was valued at. Going down here to institutions. Institutions did stay the same number, at least 28. Shares went down to 3.25 million, and percentage went down to 11.08. We still have the one buy rating for them. The price target stayed the same at 250 for the high, average, and the low as well. Going down here to their operations. For May, it looks like they were operating for about 30 days, which is pretty good considering that they said they mined 50 Bitcoin here for the combined hosting and self-mining. So based on the 50, that would have gotten them to approximately 3.2 million in revenue here, which is on this number over here. And then I'm calculating that some of the machines that they have here for hosting are, let me see, where is it at? Those are those, or is it all of those? Okay, so joint venture here, I think this is the hosting and things like that. But I got them at 33 Bitcoin for their self-mining here roughly, and then combined was like at 50, right, which is what they reported here, I believe. 50, they report 50, yeah, 50 BTC. So we're pretty close to that right now, based on that. Going back up over here to their stock price, $1.33. I have in between 273 and 409. But again, right, one of the smaller miners, they're going to be valued a little bit less there because of that. They do have pretty good growth plans, but they don't have anything purchased yet. They did just report the customer that they're getting for that side of things. So I think this is one that maybe want to keep an eye on potentially, just to see how they do going forward. Maybe they are able to squeeze out of the small miners group and get into the larger miner group later on this year. Potentially. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Okay, next here. Next one is going to be on Stronghold. So Stronghold, they provided their update. Not much to it here. They mined 82 Bitcoin here, generated an estimated 5.2 million. And if we look at Stronghold here, we can see here their performance over the last 8 weeks have been actually, or 12 weeks hasn't been bad. From 12 weeks ago, they're down 22%. From 8 weeks, they're up 10%. From 4 weeks ago, they're up 26%. And then last week, they were up 7.52%. Right? But they also have only 12 million shares outstanding. So I think this is one of the stocks that's kind of easily manipulated because there's just not a lot of shares out there. And we've seen this happen before with them, and we saw it also with Mawson as well. Mawson has had a pretty nice run up here recently, right? Only 60 million shares. It's a little easier to manipulate those stocks than the ones that have hundreds of millions of shares. Current hash rate for Stronghold, 4.7 roughly. They're basically fully installed right now as it is. So there's not much change happening there. The last HODL that they reported on was 50. I don't know if it's still the case or not. They didn't provide that information in the recent monthly updates or anything like that. So I have them at 50. We'll see if that's actually the case there. BTC production, you can see that's been coming down here. They're down 73 from last month. The revenue is down about, not quite about half, but almost there, 5.35 million here. And then hash rate has stayed the same. BTC sold. Looks like they've been selling pretty much everything that they mine. BTC per exahash efficiency down quite a bit, 17.47. That's on the lower end of things here. Bitcoin sold, value how much they sold. Going down here into institutions. Institutions did increase here a little bit, 253. Shares went up to 2.31 million here, 17.91% owned by institutions. We still have one strong buy rating for them, one buy rating, one hold rating, and the price targets actually stay the same at $8.50 for the high, average $7.17, and the low at $6. Their operations here, based on what they reported in May, looks like they were operating for about 22.2 days out of the month. So quite a bit of curtailment there. And remember, they're also, I think their board came out, said that they are looking for strategic revenues, or not revenues, but avenues for them and the shareholders. So a buyout is not out of the question here. So we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, I have in between $7.43 and $11. They're currently at $3.86. There's a reason for it. If we look at their total current assets as of Q4 was 17.65 million, total current liabilities was 35 million. So I don't know if that's been updated yet for Q1 numbers for them. I'll have to take a look at that later on this week, see if I can get that update. But based on that alone, and then I've pointed this out before also in Q4, if we look at their revenues here, so the total revenue here was 21 million here. But if you include fuel, operating and maintenance, and general administrative, you're at, what is that, at some 21 million right there alone, right? So that's definitely quite sizable there. And then you have calculated crypto mining expenses on top of that, 14 million. So you're way above that as it is already. So for those reasons, they've been having issues with a lot of costs, and they just haven't been able to really get quite profitable there on that one. So that's kind of why the stock is where it's at right now because of it. Unfortunately. Okay. So that is it for Stronghold. Let's get into really quick here And the only thing that I was able to find on Sphere is the CEO has been selling more shares. So Patricia Trumpeter sold 120,000 shares of Sphere 3D, and then it says here, where did I see it? Over the past year, Patricia Trumpeter has sold a total of 270,000 shares and has not purchased any shares. And so have other company execs as well. That's never a good sign. Plus, Sphere only has, let's take a look at it here really quick. Sphere, where are they at? Right there. So Sphere has about 1.2 exahash. The future hash rate was supposed to be 1.8, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be getting to that anytime soon. They don't have any infrastructure as well. They only host everything, so there's not really a reason for somebody to buy them out, especially since they have last generation miners in here, the 100 terahash miners, right? So, they're still efficient and they're still profitable, but they're not as great as some of the 140 terahash miners or like the 200 miners that are out there right now. So there's really, I don't think anybody would be looking to buy them out, because what are you really buying out there? You're buying out older equipment. And that's, they're valued right now at 16.2 million market cap right now. So it is what it is with them currently. But yeah, so Sphere 3D and Mawson have not provided any updates here for May, at least not yet. You can see here as well, Mawson market cap 27.9 million. They've been in trouble ever since basically 2022 here. They've been trying to figure out ways to stay relevant and stay afloat, basically. They've partnered with more and more hosting customers, and you can see their mining machines here are pretty bad. They got a bunch of 90 terahash miners here and 85 terahash miners as well. I'm guessing the 85 probably are being off. The 90 might be profitable at certain times of the day right now. Okay, but that's it for those. And then just really quick, if we look at just the institution side of things on these guys, I updated that today for all of these that have reported May numbers. And we can see here some things that have changed. Over the last 6 months, DMG is down on institutional ownership. Digihost is up slightly. Stronghold is up quite a bit. I wonder if that's maybe because of the buyout or somebody that they're offering to sell the company mainly. But if you look at 1 month over month change, you can see that Sphere is way down here. Well, not way down. It's down 1.63%. Mawson's down. They're all pretty much down, except for Stronghold as well. So I think maybe that possible of a sale. This one maybe attracting some people to Stronghold on that one. But there's some more charts, so you guys can take a look at that. Market cap metrics. How are they being valued per their petahash right now? This is market cap for hash rate currently, and then we take out market cap for a future hash rate. You can see how they're valued, and then market cap minus HODL current hash rate, and then market cap minus HODL future hash rate. Right. A lot of these guys are being valued, excuse me, pretty much the same here across the board here. The only one that's kind of sticking out here right now, at least, is DMG. DMG seems to be one that's kind of out there in front of these guys as far as value for their hash rate right now. Okay, so that's that one. Monthly, if we look at their monthly numbers here, as far as when we compare the miners as well, you can see these charts here. I'm not going to go through them all. You guys can take a look at them. I'll make these available also to the Patreon members. They'll be available to you guys there. But based on the scores, based on the 8 metrics which we're looking at, month-over-month percentage hash rate growth, higher is better. Current hash rate, BTC per exahash efficiency, month-over-month BTC mined percentage, BTC mined, days mined, HODL, and then BTC percentage sold. Score based on those 8 metrics, we're looking at Stronghold came in number 1, followed by Digihost, and then DMG, Argo, and no, which one is it? I should have 6 in here. I don't have 6, but there should be 6. Mawson and Sphere 3D have not provided their numbers. So Sphere 3D is the last one here. And then if you look at just the 6 metrics that don't include HODL or current hash rate, you got Digihost coming in number 1, followed by Stronghold and DMG, and then Argo, Mawson, and Sphere 3D would be at the end here. And then when we look at the weekly here, you can see here, Mawson was the only one that actually has kind of outperformed Bitcoin here recently. Right, when we talked about Mawson, not a lot of shares out there. It could be easily manipulated as well. Bitcoin up 164%, and everybody else is underperforming Bitcoin here as well. If we look at the last week here, we can see Mawson up again 31%. Stronghold was only up 8%. And then everybody else was kind of down. But Sphere at least outperformed slightly, Bitcoin being down 5%, but everybody else is down on it. So you can see all those numbers as well and how that looks. Okay, so I didn't want to keep you guys too bored with all this stuff here, because these guys are the smaller miners. And They're smaller because they don't have the hash rate growth and they're not getting the love from investors, unfortunately. But it's based on the hash rate growth, right? Investors are looking for hash rate growth. I'm looking for hash rate growth. I believe you guys are looking for that as well. And these guys are going to have a hard time growing this cycle, I think. There might be some companies going out of business. Some might be merging potentially with others just to try to, join forces to stay afloat that way potentially as well. But if they're not going to be growing, I think they will be eventually dying a slow death potentially on it. But yeah, unless Bitcoin starts rocketing much, much higher and Bitcoin goes to like 200,000, 250,000, at that point, they might survive. And maybe they can turn things around at that point. But we'll see. Okay, so that is it. Let's get into the Q&A side of things here with you guys. And we'll call it a day here. So let me get over to my screen where I have all you guys' questions popping up. And we'll see what we have. Okay. All right, I'm trying to find a question here, so bear with me. Also, this is like 15 seconds delay, 20 seconds delay between when I talk about it, when you guys actually, or when you guys, there's a delay between when I comment on the comments or the questions. Let's see. What are we looking at here? Okay, first question here. Hi, Seb. Can Cleanspark go to $30 this summer? Took profits from IREN. Was wondering if it's a good time to buy some more Cleanspark. That's going to depend highly on where Bitcoin goes. I think for Cleanspark at least. And then we also need to find news on, we need to not find news, but get news on infrastructure build out for them and purchases. They need a lot of infrastructure still to get to 32 exahash this year. So that's going to be dependent on that, I believe, as well. So if they can do that, provide some information or provide that they're buying certain sites, that might pump the stock as well. Let's see. Hive overvalued, normal or undervalued? Let's take a look at Hive really quick. So if we look at Hive and where they are right now, let me get into my sheet here. Okay, so I'll share the screen with you guys here. So this is Hive right now. Right, they have a market cap of 280 million right now. They've done actually pretty good here over the last 4 weeks. Not too bad. Going down to my numbers here, I have them between 331 and 497. They're at 318. They're getting close to being fairly valued based on what they have right now compared to everybody else. But the only thing is their growth is much, much smaller than a lot of these guys here that we cover here going into this year. And I think that's having an impact on the stock price. And I think maybe rightfully so, right? Investors are looking, like I said before, at growth, and growth usually gets a premium on this stuff. So based on what I'm seeing here with them, they have a healthy balance sheet. There's no doubt about that. They're operationally fine. They operate great. Just the growth. We'd like to see more growth from them going forward into this year. And they have done a great job of swapping out older machines and getting newer machines and improving their efficiencies and things like that. So on that front, they have done a fantastic job. It's just I think we'd like to see more aggressive growth from them, or at least I would. Okay. All right, let's get into the Q&A side of things. Okay. Let's see here. I sold IREN for Bitfarms last week. Do you think this was a good diversification move? I did something similar with selling a portion of my Cleanspark shares into IREN because I saw IREN potentially being having a little bit more upside, at least a couple of weeks ago. Right, it's gone way up now, so I think it's pretty well valued now. But there's more upside for all these guys here. But I think Bitfarms was or is still more undervalued than IREN is right now. Way more compared to IREN has had a huge run up. So yeah, I don't think that's a bad move. I think that might be actually a pretty good move. And I bought Bitfarms last week as well, just to buy more shares into it because I think it's just way undervalued. But we have the FUD there. Right? I keep saying we have the FUD there because we do. We have no CEO still. We still have the Riot issue there. And I think those are the only two issues that are left kind of overhanging the stock right now. Let's see. Is it true that miners capitulating causing the Bitcoin price dip? Reports show Mara has been selling a bunch. Well, Mara has been selling a bunch for a while now. I don't know if we want to go really off of that. But there are some miners that do sell. We know that they sell constantly. We have miners like IREN. Who else sells all the time? There's a couple of those that don't hodl anything. IREN. who else is the other one? TeraWolf is another one. Cypher does have a hodl. But then we have other miners that have been selling more, so Riot, Mara as well. And then we have quite a few miners that have been kind of hodling as best they can, like Cleanspark and somebody else. I can't remember. But yeah, it could be part of it, but I think, I don't know. It's tough to say whether that's the cause of it. But it's still not that much, right? If we're seeing this huge demand from ETFs, everything else, that should outweigh anything that these guys are selling monthly. But then again, we're only covering 20% of the miners or so that are in the network right now with the public, right? So that's the information that we have. The rest of the 80% that's out there, we don't have access to. We don't know what they're doing. They could be all selling also. But that's still, we're only getting 450 Bitcoin per day out of the miners. So depending, as long as the inflows into the ETFs is greater than that, it's got to be people other than just the miners selling at that point. Let's see. Sebastian, is it better to buy CORZ ZW, the contracts, over actual shares, or CORZ Z at this point? Oh gosh, good question. I don't know on that one, to be honest with you. I don't know if there's any benefit to doing that or not. Somebody that has maybe more experience than I do when it comes to the different warrants and the tranches and the shares and all that stuff, different classes of shares, might be able to have a better answer for you, but I just don't know on that one. Let's see. What do you think of CORZ current valuation? Let's take a look at my numbers here. I'm going to move this over here really quick. Let's see here. CORZ Scientific. So if we look at CORZ really quick, they're currently at $9.85, right? If we get the full dilution from them after the warrants get exercised, we could say that at that point, this is what I have them at, $19.32 to $28.98. But we don't have the revenue yet from the HPC side of business yet. That won't happen until sometime in the middle of 2025 potentially. So it's still a year out. So we can't really count that yet. So based on this, if we dilute by 100% roughly, we can say that they're going to be at $9 and something to, what is it going to be? To like $19 and something, right? So they're getting close to being fairly valued, I think, on this. But then you also include, if they're able to pay off their debt, they're able to get some cash out of the warrants as well. If they increase their hash rate or at least swap out their older machines for newer hash rate, which would then increase their hash rate as well. And then you start adding into the HPC business that's going to be coming on 2025, halfway through that. We can definitely see them going up much higher. And if Bitcoin goes up much higher, they could definitely be more higher in value going forward based on just those simple things, I would think. Okay. Do you think Riot will announce 15% tomorrow? So announce 15% in Bitfarms? I don't know. I don't know if they might try it. Who knows? They're at 14% as of Friday, right? I checked the SEC website this morning, actually earlier on today, just to see if they had announced anything, buying more shares. I haven't seen anything there, so we'll see if they announce they get into 15. They could be trying to butt heads a little bit here with Bitfarms. Bitfarms came out that if 15% is owned by any company, that would trigger the poison pill. We'll see if they try that. Time will tell. I don't know. Question: what is the chances of Riot to buy Bitfarms? I think it's small. I don't think it's that high. The only reason is because we're seeing the huge growth that Bitfarms has for this year, 21 exahash by the end of the year. That's their plan. They also announced that they're leasing a site in, where's that? Pennsylvania, I think. Can't remember exactly. But up north someplace. And they're going to be possibly being able to get to 35 exahash sometime in 2025 as well. So they have huge growth there. So there's really no reason for them to sell at a huge discount compared to where they probably should be valued at right now, right? So with that, I don't think the board's going to approve anything other than unless it's really a hostile takeover where Riot buys all the shares potentially. But if we do the poison pill, that's going to make it very, very tough for Riot to do that. Let's see. Hey, Seb, where do you get all your information from? What's the best place a newbie like me can be informed? You got to just read the updates, the SEC filings from these guys, from all of these guys on it. Look to see what Bitcoin's doing. Look to see the hash rate, what's hash rate doing, right? All those things play into it all. So you just got to read a lot. Let's see. What do you think? Okay, we already covered that one here. Let's see. Why is Mara keep diluting shares when they are cash rich? Yeah, I don't know. They do have plenty of Bitcoin. They've been selling it here recently. Let's take a look at Marathon, how much they've been selling here recently really quick as well. So if we look at Marathon over the last couple of months here, going up here, we can see that they've been selling a sizable amount. I mean, you can see here that, throughout the year, they're averaging about 605 BTC per month here that they've been selling on average, roughly. But yet, still their HODL has been growing, which is good to see there. So yeah, they could, that's definitely a sizable amount there. I'm not sure why they would be still diluting, other than maybe they are going to try to acquire something potentially, or even grow more. Who knows? But that's kind of what I would think they would be doing, is if they wanted to grow more on it. Let's go back here. Let's see. Question: Happy Father's Day submission. Thank you. Happy Father's Day to you too. Is Mawson doing okay, or may go into Chapter 11? Yeah, that's a tough one. I need to see their numbers for Q1, things like that. If we look at their numbers here, just as of the numbers that we do have for them at least. Let's see. Go back to the screen here. This one, Mawson's on the smaller side of things. If we look at Mawson here, let's take a look at their quarterly results here. So revenue has been going up slightly here, slowly but slightly, as Bitcoin price has been going up. Their operating costs have been also increasing here. And when you looked at cost to mine one Bitcoin minus depreciation, that was before the halving event. So they were at 28,000 at that point, right? Their Bitcoin mined has peaked in Q3 to 146, and it's been coming down here, it looks like. Their debt to equity lowers better, right? It has been going up, so that's not a good sign there. Current ratio is hers better. That's pretty low there right now as well. And then their total current assets as of Q4 was 20 million, but they had total current liabilities of 53 million. Right? I don't know how well they're going to be able to survive there, but we are seeing the stock going up. Maybe they are diluting there a little bit as well. Let's take a look at dilution here, what we've seen from them at least. Going down here, we can see that they had, there's not much dilution happening here. We started Q1 in 2023 with 16.2 million. We're only at, by the end of the year, at 16.6 million. So not a lot of dilution happening there. But yeah, I don't know. This is one of the ones that I thought was going to be a buyout target potentially from some of these other bigger miners. But we haven't seen that happen here. They do have pretty good infrastructure in place. They do have majority of their business now, I think, is in hosting. And then their self-mining. No news on newer machines. They have older machines, 90 terahash, 85 terahash miners, right? Not a good picture. They're not a good sign there, at least. But maybe they're going to be pivoting more into hosting than self-mining, it looks like, based on just what I'm seeing here, at least right now. So not sure if they're going to be out, but it doesn't look good. Let's see. Hi, what will be the effect on Ethereum ETF on BitDigital stock, as they have 20,500 ETH, and what's your thoughts on their HPC expansion plan? Total asset they have is 195 million and no debt. So BitDigital, I don't know how that's going to be valued for them. Typically, depending where Ethereum goes, right? 20,000 Ethereum is definitely a sizable amount, but we'll have to see where Ethereum goes on that, and then how will they get valued on that. Also, right now, the company's not being valued for their self-mining operations, nor for their HPC side of the business as well. And I think it's because they're asset light, meaning that they don't have any infrastructure right now. They host everything that they do. So maybe that is what's keeping the stock down right now. That's the only thing I can really see there, because they do have, if we look at BitDigital as well, let's go take a look at them right now. BitDigital, this would be on the larger miners. BitDigital, we can see here that, looking at the numbers here for them, a couple of things here. Cost to mine Bitcoin has been going up, right? 31,000 before the halving event. And you guys can hear my dog upstairs. Probably saw somebody walking down our street here. Bitcoin mine quarterly has been kind of flat over the last couple of quarters. Debt to equity is much lower here. Current ratio is quite high, 12.34. And yeah, 190 million here as of Q1. And total current liability is only 15 million. So, they have a really healthy balance sheet. They do have that one customer that gives them 15 million of revenue a year for the HPC side of things. We're supposed to be working on that customer to get them to 100 million. We've heard that for a couple weeks now. We've heard that probably for like maybe 6 weeks now, I think. But still, really no sign of that being, or at least coming to fruition, at least not yet. So I don't know. I think the big thing is for them is they need to get some infrastructure for themselves, and they need to go away from this asset light model potentially. It works out pretty good when you're trying to grow, but once you grow, you really need to have more control over things. And kind of like what we've seen with Marathon. Marathon was asset light primarily, or pretty much, yeah, primarily in the beginning, right? They've kind of transitioned from that to a mixed approach where they have hosting and they also own their own infrastructure as well. And maybe that's the way to go. For somebody like especially BitDigital here. Let's see. Where did you learn to make your $10,000 Excels well organized and incredibly functional? Many, many, many years in operations and things like that. And then I was just trying to figure out, the Excels, they're not like the standard Excels. It's Excel, but it's not the standard Excel that you're used to from Microsoft Office. The reason I use my Apple numbers is because you can have multiple tables in a single sheet, which makes it really easy to kind of do all that stuff. Plus, I have a little background in web development and database design, things like that. So that kind of helps as well. But it's been definitely a work in progress. Let's see here. Hey, Seb, I have 33,000 shares of Bitfarms, 9,000 shares of Cleanspark, and 6,000 shares of IREN now. Which should I buy more of? Well, yeah, really good positions in all those guys. Congrats there. Let me see. I think right now, if we're looking at the ones that are possibly the most undervalued, it would be Bitfarms. But Bitfarms, no CEO there right now yet, right? And they're still trying to get, or Riot's still trying to acquire them. So we'll see if, I'm hoping that doesn't play out. But that's the one I would probably look at. And that's the one I've been buying here. I bought Bitfarms last week as well. But you got to look into it, do your own due diligence and all that stuff, not financial advice. As always. Let's see. Let's see. Based on all the international involvement in the acquisition of Bitcoin, are you of the opinion that it'll become a currency that will be used all over the world? In time, I think it might happen. We need to possibly speed up the transactions on that. So that might be going off to like Lightning or other projects that are working on that to speed up transactions in that. Because if you're going to use it as cash or something like that, you need pretty much instant payments, right? Or close to that within at least a couple of seconds. You can't be waiting a couple of minutes for that transaction to clear. But eventually, I think maybe that we'll get to that point. But it's definitely a work in progress right now. Let's see. Does Cleanspark have an ATM outsiding more than IREN? Cleanspark has an 800 million ATM. I think IREN has a 500 million ATM. Also, end of year, do you think Cleanspark can outperform IREN? If we're looking from, if we're looking from right now, as far as where both stocks are, I think they can both do kind of equivalent to each other. I think. Remember, Cleanspark has more shares outstanding than IREN does right now. If they get closer to each other, then at that point I would expect them to kind of operate the same way. The only thing that might kind of help Cleanspark is their huge hodl position that they have right now, where IREN does not have that potentially. But also IREN's getting into HPC AI side of things. If they come out with a big customer on that, that could help them out that way. So there's pluses and minuses to both of these guys, I guess, depending on which way you look at it. Let's see. Why does Riot totally suck? It's their operations over the last 18 months. I guess you could say that's the reason why they're operating the way they are. So we need to have them operate much better or have much better uptime at Corsicana facility, improve their operations, Rockdale facility as well. And at that point, the stock should do much better. Question, why is it taking a long time for Bitfarms to find a CEO? It sounds like they are waiting for a better offer to sell the company. I don't know if it's that, but whenever you have, if I was looking at it, going into a company, right, as a new job potentially, to become basically the CEO, the leader of the company, right, and you got this Riot hanging over you right there that they might buy you out. It's kind of like, I think it might kind of limit your pool there, unless they can really assure the potential candidates at that point that they are not going to be selling the company or something like that. But I think that might have something to do with it. If it wasn't for that, maybe they would have gotten somebody already by now. Or they're just very, very picky, right? You need somebody that has experience in multiple jurisdictions, maybe, you're dealing in Canada, Paraguay, Argentina, United States as well. So there's 4 different jurisdictions that you gotta maybe have access to. Maybe they're looking for somebody that has, I think Argentina and Paraguay speak Spanish. I think I'm not sure on that one. So maybe somebody that speaks Spanish as well. Some, I don't know. Could be a tall order to fill there. Let's see. Kay says Bitfarms won't sell for cheaper than 18. I hope that's the case. Let's see. Will we see more of ATM from IREN? If yes, could it not lower target price of IREN as compared to, say, Cleanspark? I'm trying to understand the question. We'll probably see another ATM from IREN as they want to grow. If yes, could it not lower target price of IREN as compared? Would it not lower? Right, depending on how many shares they dilute, but as the price has gone up quite nicely here, it's going to mean that they're going to dilute less shares, right? That's mainly because the stock price is much higher, so then you're diluting less shares. So that's always a good thing there. So yeah, I don't know how that's going to affect it, depending on how much they dilute. But either way, I still believe that Cleanspark, IREN can do at least a 5x this cycle without a problem, right? They could definitely do much better depending where Bitcoin goes. But that's kind of where I'm looking at right now on that stuff. Let's see. What is the fair market value for Mara right now? Thanks. Okay, let me take a look at my spreadsheet here really quick based on what we have on Marathon really quick. Marathon, I have them between $18.33, $27.50. They're currently at $20 right now, right? This is a given based on the previous 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in. Now, forward looking, if we look at forward looking, and they can get to 50 exahash by the end of the year, Bitcoin goes up much higher to closer to maybe 100,000, 125,000 by the end of the year. And at that point, we're looking much higher from where we are right now on it. But that's kind of where they are based on my numbers here, at least. See. Can you break down your value on Hive you reviewed earlier? So yeah, if we look at Hive here really quick, Hive, like I said before, they are getting close to being fairly valued. $3.31 to $4.97. They're at $3.18. That's based on the last 3 quarters of revenue plus the current quarter that we're in, which is estimated right now. And that's kind of where I have them. The growth there is not much left, at least for what's reported as being bought, right? They're getting to 5.6 exahash. They're at 5 exahash right now. So they still have a little bit of growth here going forward. I think I've read someplace that they want to target 8 exahash by the end of the year, potentially. So that would still be nice growth there. They do have a huge hodl position, 2,468 BTC. That's valued at 169 million right now. That consists of basically 60% of their market cap is their hodl position alone. Not taking into account any infrastructure that they have or anything like that. So they're not getting valued based on their operational uptime and hash rate and all that stuff. They're being valued more, so it looks like on their hodl position. And the reason for that is growth. Growth is lacking. That's the reason why we're seeing this, unfortunately. Let's see. What are your thoughts on Griffin? So Griffin, I've said this before. I think Griffin, they have some audacious growth plans here for this year. I don't know how they're going to do it. I think they're planning on maybe joining with some of the smaller private miners that want to attach themselves to a miner that's public, that has a pretty low valuation right now, and benefit on top of that. So as they grow in hash rate, the other companies that would join them in that way would also benefit on top of it. But saying those things, we need to see the results of it. So they need to come out and provide some information how they're going to do it, if they have plans or if they have agreements in place with miners and things like that. So once we see that, maybe at that point the stock will do better going forward. But we need to see that. Right now they're one of the smaller miners. I don't even cover them right now because they're under 1 exahash and they don't have any infrastructure right now. They're asset light. Let's see here. Question, should miners be valued on current exahash as a percentage of total exahash? Wait, I should probably put that up for you guys. Exahash as a total exahash or future announced exahash as a percentage of total industry announced exahash? Good question. But then you're looking at of the total industry announced exahash future. So you're that's making me think. I like that. So let me reread this again. Question, should miners be valued on current exahash as a percentage of total exahash? So no, I think maybe that is part of it that we're seeing here. As far as the miners that have like 3, 4, 5% of the network hash rate right now, those guys are getting value a little bit higher. But if you look at it that way, you would see it also where Marathon and Riot would have outperformed some of these other guys like Cleanspark and IREN here recently in the last 52 weeks. So I don't think it's as easy as that. I think it's more on growth going forward. And then if we look at future announced exahash as a percentage of the total industry announced exahash, well, there's some conflicting numbers that are floating around as far as where will Bitcoin network hash rate be in the future, right? By the end of the year, some are saying it's going to be still at the 600 exahash. I'm thinking it's going to be like between 800 and 900 exahash. Some are thinking it might be north of 1,000 exahash. So it just would depend on that, and there's no really easy way to figure that out other than to actually experience it, witness it, go through it, and see where it ends up at the end of the year. But I've liked to, so far, at least for me, anytime a company is growing their hash rate, that has been a really good marker for me to get into, and potentially based on that they also have good operations, good uptime, good management in place, good efficiencies, all those things, good balance sheet, everything else involved, right? That has worked out so far. Fingers crossed, has worked out really well. And I think that's kind of what's being, how the miners are being valued on it right now. Let's see. What do you think Mara will announce next week? Picture of the 3 chips. I have not seen that. Was that on Twitter that they announced that or something? Something about that? I have not seen anything on it. Maybe they're going to announce something with Auradine. I don't know. Let's see. Will Hut 8 benefit from their large HCP now? HCP, are you talking about HPC? I haven't seen anything come out from them new stuff for HPC. So I'm going to refrain from answering that because I don't know. I know that they have data centers in Canada and things like that that are like tier 2, tier 3, I believe. So they could put them in there, but depending on how energy dense those facilities are, whether or not they would have to retrofit them or not, potentially to be able to use those higher grade H100 chips from NVIDIA. So I don't know. Let's see. Bitfarms price at 12, 21, and 35 exahash, much higher than where they are right now, especially if Bitcoin goes up much higher, as long as they can maintain to be an individual company here. They're not bought out by Riot. Do you think it can have run up like CORZ, $10 in 2 weeks? So you're talking about Bitfarms there? Yeah, potentially. All they got to do is come out with a good CEO, come out that they're at least close to 12 exahash by the end of this month, which is not too far away. That might be able to run it. And then, they already came out with good growth plans for next year as well. So they have a lot of things going for them. It's just getting past some of this FUD that they have been dealing with recently. Let's see. Okay. What do you think would happen to price of Bitcoin if World War III is declared? Well, I think that's the least of our worries at that point, if that we got World War III happening. But I would think it's anybody's guess at that point. Bitcoin has never been through that. Bitcoin has never been through a recession either. So there's a lot of unknowns. How will Bitcoin perform in those situations? But I'm guessing it would probably have a dip in the first couple days, weeks maybe. And then we would maybe reverse back depending on what's going on in the world and the world war. I don't know. Tough to say. Let's see. Who do you suspect makes up 80% of the network hash rate that is not public miners, private companies versus state entities? No, one of the big ones there is probably going to be Bitmain. I think some are estimating that Bitmain has between 60 exahash and like 80 exahash, and that may be higher than that. So that's a big one there. The rest of them are private miners. You got Swan right now, right? Swan mining is like 7 something, almost 8 exahash alone, right? That's private. Then you got other companies that are private. You may have some state owned and stuff going on in there as well. So it's a huge mix of things. Let's see. Which do you like more right now, Cleanspark or Marathon? Cleanspark still, because of their operations. But, we're getting close to the end of the year. We're not close. We're almost halfway to the end of the year. and we still need to get to 32 exahash by the end of the year. That's their goal, and we need to find out where they're going to be placing those machines at. So I think time is ticking on them to come out with some good news there. Let's see. Hey, we got Bryce in the house. How you doing, Bryce? Okay, question. What would be the catalyst for Bitfarms to sell at anything less than their all-time high stock price? Bitcoin is going up and their hash rate is increasing. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I mean, there's really no reason for them to sell with the growth plays that they have, at least the things that I see here, unless there's things that we're not privy to. But right now, with their growth plans and everything else for this year and then going into next year, I don't think that's on their table right now, at least not yet. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I was asking Bryce. Bryce, thank you for letting us know. So they just finished the Riot tour video, dropping it tomorrow, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So cool. I'll definitely take a look at that on that one because they had some questions on their immersion cooling stuff. So definitely looking forward to that. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Bryce. Hey, happy Father's Day to you. Let's see. Let's see here. No question, just a fact. You're doing a fantastic job, and we appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate it greatly. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. I want to sell my IRENs. I want to sell my IREN for Cleanspark, but been following Cleanspark for a long time and don't like how they sold a lot of shares and paid themselves large amounts. They're also switching to liquid cooling. Who's switching to liquid cooling? They're also switching Cleanspark? I don't think they're switching to liquid cooling. Or at least I haven't heard anything from that. IREN, you also have to remember, IREN also, the two brothers there paid themselves, what did they sell? 2 million shares apiece back in, what was this, November or December timeframe? So they also have paid themselves handsomely there, right? They all do it. All the companies do it. But you're really looking for growth, operational excellence, and things like that. And I think you get it in both of those, Cleanspark and in IREN as well. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Trying to find a question here. Okay. Profit target. Do you set a profit target or have a predefined exit strategy you might sell once the stock reaches the target price? Yeah, I have a target price in mind, right? That doesn't mean that's going to be where I'm going to be selling, but that's kind of where I'm more or less looking to get to. It's pretty conservative, I think. I could be wrong on that, right? And we'll have to keep an eye on where Bitcoin goes, look at some data on Bitcoin, some charts, look at the stock to flow model, look at the power law model as well, see where that's heading. There's just a lot of things that are going to be involved in there and see where Bitcoin is looking like. And then at that point, I'll definitely start to figure out whether I'm not going to completely sell out, but I'm going to dollar cost average out because I'm not going to be able to reach or pick the top correctly. But if I get close to it, I'll be happy with that. Let's see. Bitfarms is the only one for Canadian miners. Well, there's also Hive there. Hive, I mean, Hive is great. Operationally, they're great. They just don't have a lot of growth. Let's see. Did you sell all of your Cleanspark? No, I did not. I only sold 20% of it. That was the 20% that I basically put into it, my own cash into buying the shares, right? So I basically pulled all that out and put it into IREN at that point. Let's see. Hey, Seb. Happy Father's Day. Thank you, same to you. I like Hive for the next move up in BTC. What do you think? I mean, if Bitcoin moves up, Hive is going to move up as well, right? Will it outperform some of the other stocks that are growing maybe better, right? Hash rate, at least this year? That I don't know. That is yet to be seen on that one. Let's see. Do you expect any miners to turn a profit in Q2 after the halving? I see BitTF projected a negative penny loss, but nobody is in the black, excluding dilution. Yeah, I know it's going to be tough. Bitcoin staying where it's at right now. Actually, the miners had a pretty good, what do they have? April was pretty good for them, right? April was still, we didn't have the halving event until like the 19th. So that's a pretty good month there. It's going to be close. And depending where Bitcoin ends up in the next 2 weeks, Bitcoin goes 75,000 or something like that, then you're going to get the revaluation on the miners that have the FASB so that they can take advantage on the Bitcoin hodl. But yeah, we'll see. And the ones that have been growing their hash rate also, I think, will be okay at that point. But I don't know if they're going to be able to turn a profit. If you take out depreciation out of that, I think they will be profitable on that point. But yeah, it's going to be definitely tough. Let's see. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Appreciate it. Let's see. Trying to catch up with you guys' questions and comments. You guys are going crazy here a little bit, which is fine. I'm just trying to catch up, so bear with me. Okay, McNally says, we have Adam Sullivan, CEO of CORZ, on tomorrow. If you have any questions, ask. Oh, gosh, what would I ask Adam? I think a lot of the stuff was already answered in their investor presentation. A lot of it was. I would just say, ask me about the warrants. When will those get exercised? I know what the price targets are, but do those price targets have to be there for like 20 days? Or the price has to be above that for 20 days? Ask me about that. Definitely like to know about that, how that's going to work out. And then also, will the warrants, once they're exercised, so if somebody has those shares and they have the regular CORZ warrants, CORZ W warrants, and the other one as well, when those get exercised, do those get switched into CORZ warrants? That's the question I have there. So if you could ask him that, that'd be great. Thanks, Bryce. Let's see. Okay. So, hi, Sebastian. Thanks for your great research. I've been following you for the past year and went all in with Bitfarms. Okay, that's definitely pretty brave there. I never went into any of the miners full, but I mean, you must have much better conviction than I do on Bitfarms. I mean, I have a strong conviction in Bitfarms, but I would never go all in on one of those. But I mean, I wish you all the best, and I do think Bitfarms is way undervalued, so you might do really well there. Let's see. Okay, I hold 50. What is that? How many zeros is that? 1, 2, 3. So 530,000 Bitfarms. Do you think it can do $20 in the next $20 in the next 2 months? No. $20. I would think maybe by the end of the year, Bitcoin goes much higher, but not in 2 months. Let's see. Okay. It's let me see here. I lost a lot of money on Hut and Hive. Depending when you got into them, yeah, I can see how that could happen. I had Hive for a long time, from 2017 all the way through last year when I sold it. Sold it at a much lower profit than I could have sold it in 2021. But there's a lesson learned there. Himanashi, thank you again for this super sticker. Appreciate it. Let's see. Only made money with Bitfarms. I mean, Bitfarms, I'm up quite nicely here right now. The best one for me so far has been Cleanspark. And then recently it's been Bitfarms and IREN as well. And CORZ is up just slightly for me as well. So I'm doing okay there. Let's see here. How much 10 million revenue in AI equates to exahash? 10 million in revenue. Gosh, I don't know. I know Sam from Digihost has said before that right now, at least in the last couple of weeks, the revenue that they're getting from the AI side of things would need to have Bitcoin like around 100,000. So right now, it'd probably be like 110,000 or something like that for them to be equivalent. And the profit margins there, I think. So I don't know. You could run the numbers on it, but I don't know that off the top of my head. Let's see. Hi, Seb. What's the percentage allocation do you invest in each miner? What's the recommendation? There's really no recommendation as far as the percentage there. I got a little heavy into Cleanspark because started investing back in 2022, right when we were just getting started with the bear market. I didn't know where the bottom was going to be, so I invested in them. And then as the price went down, I invested more and more and more. My original goal was to get to 10,000 shares of Cleanspark. I was able to reach that. Same thing for Bitfarms. My goals are more on the number of shares that I want to have in a company. and not really a percentage of things or value of it, but just a percentage, and then where I'd be happy with if things went much higher from there. So that's kind of the way I did it. Thank you, Sebastian. Happy Father's Day. Thank you. You're welcome, and happy Father's Day as well. Let's see. Hive Digital passed to 10 million in debt from more than 30 million. I'm holding 2,500 BTC. What do you think about it, Seb? Hive Digital passed. I'm not sure I understand your question there. I'm sorry. What price should we sell our CORZ stock? Thank you. At the peak of the bull run. Not right now. I think right now we're still early in. Okay, so 30 million to 10 million. I mean, that's good that they paid down debt, right? That's for Hive at least, right? And other companies have done the same thing. TeraWolf has paid down a large amount of their debt. Bitfarms had paid off all their debt as well, so that's always great to see as well. Let's see. Let's see. Do you know I'm guessing something about IREN and 3 gigawatts of power? They secured that or have access to it? I believe they have that secured, or at least access to it. I don't know. They're kind of coy on that information, that they have the information or the sites, but they don't want to list out the site specifically. So I don't know what's going on there. But they said that they have access to 3 gigawatts. Let's see. Okay. Question: how do you think Bitfarms synthetic HODL will affect the stock price? As long as they're not losing money, I think it'll be a good thing. But I'm not even sure exactly how the synthetic HODL works there on it. So I'm not the one to comment on it. Let's see. What are your thoughts on Canon? I recently started a small position, and I'm wondering if I should add to it. Gosh, I'll be honest. I do not like Canon. It has not performed nowhere near as Bitcoin has here in the last, you could say, 18 months or so. Right. Let me see if I can point this out to you guys here really quick. So let's see here. Bitcoin. Let me pull my Bitcoin chart here. We'll add Canon to it as well. So if we add Canon on top of it, Canon. Let's see here. Canon. There it is. Same as that one. Okay. Now go out. Let's go out. Year to date. Bitcoin is up 56% year to date. Canon is down 52%. Okay. And there's one example. Go out a year. Bitcoin's up 152%. Canon is down 51% from a year ago. Right. So you can see this. It's not performing like Bitcoin has in the historically, at least not recently here. So for that reason, I just don't see a good proxy play to Bitcoin with Canon right now on it. And I've been kind of keeping an eye on it here over the last I guess probably maybe 2 years now, because you guys have been asking about it and questions and comments and things like that. So I've been always kind of keeping a little eye open on that one just to see what it's doing. But it's still not doing anything near what Bitcoin is doing or what the miners are doing on top of it. So for that reason, I would stay out of it unless they come out with a game-changing machine that is, 5 joules per terahash, has 500 or 500 terahash on it or something like that. But that might be a game changer for them. But right now, it's not doing that well. Let's see here. Let's see. If Riot dumps Bitfarms shares, how many shares are you buying on the dip? As much as I can afford. So I'm still going to be buying more if the shares dip here a little bit more. Because I do believe that the company is way undervalued. Hi, Sebastian. Hive seems like the most undervalued Bitcoin miner is the main reason growth. Yeah, that's the main reason there. I've said it before. They're like one of the most undervalued, but there's a reason to it, right? What is that reason? So you got to look into it. They don't have a lot of growth. They have great operations, great balance sheet. All that stuff is there. It's just growth. So that leads me to believe that's the growth. They have HODL as well. It's the growth. That's the reason there. Let's see. What about BTC ETF that start to generate dividends? Is it worth something to add into dividends? I don't know. Maybe if they do that, it might be worth it. But probably want to see at least a year or two of dividend payouts, how that works. And if we get bear markets in Bitcoin, you're probably not going to get dividends at that point. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm getting close to you guys' questions here. Let's see here. 3 gigawatts is insanely huge for IREN. Expect $200 to $400 this cycle. No, because that's not going to be built out this cycle, right? It's be one thing if they were targeting 3 gigawatts this cycle by the end of this year or by the middle of next year sometime, right? If they did that, then yeah, that would be huge for the stock. But they're not targeting that. They're targeting 30 exahash by the end of this year, 40 exahash sometime in the beginning of the year next year. And then we don't know what the growth plan is going to be moving forward. Plus, we don't know what the HPC AI side of things is going for them as well. So that all kind of plays into it as well. Let's see. Ed here asks, I asked 3 questions at the beginning of your live. Could you please go over them? Thanks. It would be easier if you actually type them up maybe again. If I have to scroll back through all those, I'm probably not going to be able to find them. So whenever you do have questions, please wait until we do the Q&A side of things here. It would definitely help myself and you as well. Not having to retype those. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, so you're talking about, yeah, if they use it for AI, yeah, that would be huge, right? If they used all that, but that would be like overkill. You don't need nowhere near that for AI or anything like that. We got Core using 200 megawatts, right now. They have 500 megawatts available to it as well. So I mean, if they use only a third of that for AI, that might be huge there. But you don't need all that to do it. And then let's see here. Ed, let's see. I'm waiting for you to see if you can maybe put in those questions again. Let me see. No, let me see if I can find it. Well, I do have a search feature here. Let's try the search feature here. Let's see if I can find Ed. Okay, I do have your questions here, so I did find them. So Ed asks, which miner will be the winner if BTC hits 180,000? The one who hodled the most or the one with the largest growth? It'd be a combination. The largest and with hodl. Those two things play together with those. Let's see. If you can only buy Canadian stocks, Bitfarms Hut 8 is no longer a Canadian company. It is U.S. domiciled. DMG Hive, could you please put them in order from the top to bottom? Thank you. So for me, it would be Bitfarms, Hive, DMG. That's the way. Hut 8 is U.S. based right now. And then let me see. And then when do they usually report Q2 reports? Q2 reports will come out about 6 weeks after the quarter ends, usually right around there on average, right? Could be 5 weeks, could be 6 weeks, could be 8 weeks too, but somewhere around there is usually when they report. Let's see. And then last question here is Bitfarms going to activate the poison pill on June 20th, or is that when Riot hit? Yeah, so Riot's got to hit 15% in order for that to get implemented, I believe, on that one. Okay. Actually, the search feature was kind of nice. That actually worked pretty good. Let's see here. All super chats favorites. Okay. There we go. Okay. Let's see if I caught up to everything here. Let's see here. Okay. Question. James from AI or Invest Answers project Cleanspark would hit 80 by the end of 2025. That would put its market cap at 17 billion. Is that realistic? That is realistic. And he's actually come around a little bit here. Because originally he was targeting Cleanspark to be like, what, $17 per share or something like that about a year ago. Whereas my price targets was like $70 per share for Cleanspark by the end of the bull run, somewhere in the bull run, right? That was my conservative estimate for them. So he was definitely sandbagging Cleanspark for a long time, what they could possibly get to. So 80, if Bitcoin gets to, let me see here, where was that? Well, we don't know where Bitcoin goes. So, but let's just say Bitcoin gets to 180,000, 150,000, somewhere around there. Could Cleanspark get to the $70 or the $80? I think it's possible there. Bitcoin goes much higher from there. They could definitely do that, but it's on them right now. They got to get to 32 exahash by the end of the year, and then they got to look for getting to 50 exahash by sometime in 2025. So it's on them right now. Let's see. Tudor says, I'm looking at CORZ at for 200 megawatts. They got 3.5 billion deal. I'm imagining power supply of IREN I put to use. Yeah, I mean, but that's if you can get the customer, right? If you can get that huge of a customer. CoreWeave has, what is it, like $7 billion, $8 billion war chest right now to build out their AI. And they're being heavily backed by NVIDIA as well. So they have the money to do it. How many other companies do you know that have that huge of a war chest right now? I don't know that many. Let's see. From Friday data, which Bitcoin making lower lows and don't chase the miners, which going correct. Now with the dollar being strong and gold miners selling off and all miners and oil stocks selling off. Yeah, okay. Not sure if that was a question or not. But yeah, I mean, you don't want to chase. Sometimes you do have to chase, though. I had to chase IREN a little bit, and I kind of had to chase Core a little bit as well. Ed, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Let's see. Okay, Michael says even big food companies selling off like KEG, KHC, which the Fed screw up, and now the crashes in miners and doesn't matter about gold prices or so. Okay, so you're not very bullish on miners, it looks like. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's what I'm getting from you at least. Tutor, yep, you're very welcome on that. Definitely appreciate you guys. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much all caught up with your guys' questions here. We've been going for almost an hour and a half, roughly. So we'll call it a day at this point. Then we'll see what happens tomorrow. So there's still, let me see here. There's still a couple of companies, actually one. Hut 8 has still not reported their monthly May update. But tomorrow, regardless, if they do or they don't, I'm going to do the monthly metrics on the miners to see which ones were the best miners for May. And then from there, we'll go on to other metrics as well, look at some other things for the miners, regardless if Hut 8 provides it or not. Because I think having 2 weeks to report your monthly production is more than enough time. Other people will give only like 7 days. So I'm actually giving you a little bit of a break there. What else do we have coming on here? We'll see where Bitcoin goes. We'll see where the miners go. We'll also see what happens later on with Bitfarms and Riot as well. We'll see if we get an update from them tomorrow sometime. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Okay, but that's it. So again, thank you so much for coming in. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. And even if you have step kids or are mentoring kids, thank you for doing that. And happy Father's Day to all you guys. All right, so that is it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, have a great night.